welcome to the Kiwimana Day. Hi everyone, well we're back. Good to be back. And yeah, we hope you all enjoyed the festive season and catching up with family and friends, and that Monday back to work wasn't too hard on you, and that it's all good.
Yeah, Happy New Year everybody. It's Gary here from the Kiwimana Buzz, and this is the show where we talk about beekeeping, gardening and life. And this is Gary here, and that's Margaret over there. And
hi!
And we are beekeepers from the hills of the Waitakere Ranges in West Auckland in New Zealand. And our podcast is about beekeeping, gardening and a bit of political issues. And we have been known to go on off tangents, haven't we, Margaret?
Yeah, but you more than me, haven't you? So you more than me?
No.
Okay.
You more than me.
Oh, okay.
And this is episode 40, as Margaret said, and the show notes for this show are at
kiwimana.co.nz/40.
That's right. So, good luck at the show notes. Check them out. And what's happening at Kiwimana?
Okay, Gary, you start off, eh? What's next?
I know why you said that.
I do too. Shall we go on?
No, we'll talk about what I want to talk about, and then we'll go about what you want to talk about.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Well, what's happening? We have discovered a new bee club being formed.
Well, they actually discovered us, didn't they?
Well, they discovered us. That's true.
Through the internet, the great World Wide Web.
Indeed, and it's the Kaipara Bee Club.
Well, it's actually a proposed formation of a bee club, which is near the Helensville area, and they want to call it the Kaipara Bee Club. So, they're trying to get as many members as they can to get it set up for that area, because it's quite a large area. And so we've been working with them on some ideas for that, and we'll probably do an apiary day.
Yeah, we will. It sounds quite interesting, eh?
Yeah, there's a lot of mixed groups of people. From what I understand is that there's commercials as well as hobbyists. So, and a lot of those, from what I understand, there's a lot of lifestyle blocks, which is about 10 acres, that kind of thing in that area. So I think it'd be really good if they have a good support system out there. So, yeah. Yeah,
because we actually went up there, didn't we, to visit a friend up there. Joyce up in the very top of the
South Kaipara Head.
It's a beautiful area. And beautiful. And we also went to visit Claude, who's actually organising the bee club. So,
and we also went to visit a lady who's looking at having bees. She has just moved into a property that's there, and what a beautiful view from the property, and it looks like it's going to be an awesome site for the bees. Yeah,
pretty neat. Pretty windy, but wasn't it?
I think it probably has got the capacity to be quite windy, so that would have to be dealt with, because bees don't survive too well in a very windy condition. So
no,
but we found a pretty good spot.
Yeah, that was a nice day. We went up to the macrocarpa farm as well, didn't we, and had a cafe there.
No, you mean the macadamia farm.
Oh, yes. Macrocarpa. No, I'm thinking of making beehives. Yeah, macadamia, that's it.
Yeah, macadamia farm. It was quite nice. We had a bit of a cup of tea and a break on our travels. It was a good road trip.
That was awesome. And so, guys, if you're in the Kaipara area, visit, come along to this bee club. It's on, what day is it? 22nd of February?
No, it's 12th, isn't it? 12th.
Oh, sorry, 12th of February. And that will be held at 5:30 p.m, so after work. And that is at Farmlands, 97 Mill Road, Helensville. And there's a link on the show notes there to RSVP it, so.
Yeah, it's good to let us know if you're going to come. And we'd love our beginners to come along, and anyone near that area. We know a few of you out there, so it'd be good if you could, join us. And
and we'll have a chat about bees probably.
Yeah, and I'm excited for them. I think they've got some real good key people there that are going to really give a lot of value to that club. So we wish them all the best, and we'll be there on that inaugural meeting to vote in a new committee and look at how they want to run the club.
Absolutely. Margaret for president.
Yay!
Anyway, and what else has happened? I was interviewed on the Expert Empire podcast a while ago. I think I mentioned that on a previous podcast, and that was actually published over the Christmas break. So you can listen to the interview if you look on the show notes. There's a link to that, the Expert Empire. So I was interviewed about urban beekeeping. So that was good.
Absolutely, and I think it's a very popular subject. People call it urban beekeeping, they call it backyard beekeeping, they call it what's the other one that they call it?
Well, I know in Los Angeles it's called covert beekeeping, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
We'll talk about that later on.
Absolutely. What's next, Gary?
Well, we're also this year, because the other part of the Kiwimana Buzz, we actually chat with beekeepers from around the world. So we're looking for new people for 2014. So if you can think of someone that you'd like to hear from, or you'd like to be interviewed yourself, have a look on the show notes, and there's a link there to how to be a guest. So come along, have a look, and we'll have a chat with you.
Okay, sounds good. And we need as much diversity in the kind of beekeepers. We've got lots of people who have different ideas and those kind of things. And we're happy to talk about them, and what people are doing in their apiaries is awesome too. Absolutely.
And last week we had a visitor from Belfast, didn't we?
Oh yeah, that was Billy.
Yeah, that was a good night. We had a chat with Billy, and he's, I think he flew back today, didn't he? Today's Saturday. He flew back to Ireland.
Oh yeah, he's been doing beekeeping for a while. And it was really interesting to talk about how he keeps bees, and he was asking a lot about the things that impacted our bees. So it was really good to share that kind of information.
Absolutely. And he bought some nice biscuits as well, didn't he?
Oh, that was Paul, his son, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had good conversations because they've travelled over to the UK as well and been living there, and also travelling around Finland, from what I understand. So it was very interesting to meet up and have those common threads, because we spent some time in the UK, and it's always good to reminisce about, what we were up to there. So yeah, it was good.
And so what's coming up with you, Margaret?
Well, a bit of a review. I've been talking about redoing the apiary, and I've had a plan in mind for a while, so we've started implementing that. And the lawnmower was broken, and although Louise usually maintains our lawn quite high, the kaikui grass here in New Zealand was growing hugely. So I've been working on getting that in place and putting in some small garden beds in between the two hives. So that's been a lot of fun.
Looks great, doesn't it?
It's getting there. And just looking at the whole apiary, and we've been inspecting on our other apiaries as well. And all the hives are doing pretty well. We had 2 failures in one of our apiaries and 2 failures in the Kiwimana HQ. So I think that's pretty good after all the work we've been doing to have that very small loss. And most of those losses were due to queens not being mated properly. And we blame that on the weather, really, because when those hives the queen cells were put in, the weather changed for them. So I think that they weren't mated properly, so they started producing drones. So I thought, gosh, I opened the hive and it's full of drones, and I thought, oh no, we've got a real problem. And
it was a real boys' club, wasn't it?
It was a boys' club, all right, but not a lot of use, really.
That's true.
Anyway, we love drones to a certain degree, but only at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it's true.
So, and they are helpful in helping us manage varroa mites.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all a good thing with our drone management phones, always is helpful. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what I've been up to, and going forward in the next few weeks is to finish planting the other little gardens that are there, and we're also looking at one of the apiaries might be going, so we'll have to deal with the hives that are located there and what we're going to do about that. But
yeah,
if
absolutely.
anyone out there wants to buy our hives, then give us a ring on Auckland 09 810 9965, and yeah, have a chat, because we have to reduce our hives that we have available and to manage. So yeah, so that'd be cool. Give us a ring.
Yep, absolutely, because definitely we have to look at the way we're doing our work, isn't it? It's a bit chaotic this year.
Yeah, I think that it really has been an awesome year, and it's our first year really up and running, doing everything, like from the beekeeping supplies to selling bees and growing bees and our beekeeper services, and we've learnt so much from it, and it's just been absolutely awesome. And one of the things that we really love is, working with new beekeepers, and I find that really fascinating, because everybody has got the most awesomest questions, so really interested and really want to keep their bees healthy, and it makes us feel good too, because we know that people are learning things that will help them manage the bees. So it's been really exciting.
Absolutely. And did we get a Christmas card?
Yes, that's next, Gary.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So anyway, from there we've started everything's in place for the community education program that we're starting. And I'll check next week to see if what sort of response we're getting. So yeah, hopefully there's a good response to that. And it's actually introducing people to the world of beekeeping. So, and then from there we'll go into introductions into the actual management of bees and that kind of thing. So it's a very, very basic course. So if you want to join that, there'll be something on the show notes on how to do that. So, and what's next, Gary? Well...
No, what's next, Margaret?
Oh, what's next, Margaret? Okay, yeah, we were really chuffed to get a wonderful card from Roz over in the UK, and she has kindly sent us a lovely Christmas card, and in bracket she said, "What's next, Gary?" So that's the reason why. And I didn't realize that I said it that much, but that's all cool. So it's really good to hear that she started keeping bees, and
it was quite touching, getting a Christmas card from someone across the other side of the world. So
yeah, and she said she found our podcast.
Thank you, Ross. It was good.
Yeah, and she talks about that she found our podcast, and that she is enjoying it, listening, working her way through them from beginning. And she says, "I really enjoy them. I find them very helpful and recommend them to all my new bee friends." So thanks so much for that, Roz, and we hope your start to 2014 is awesome.
Absolutely.
We also had another message from the website about the podcast, and it's from Nick, and he talks about that he really enjoys the podcast, and he says that he understands that there's a lot of effort and time that goes into producing them, and it's much appreciated by beekeepers around the globe. So, and then he wishes us all the best, and we say ditto, Nick, and thanks so much for taking time to give us the feedback. It really does make it worthwhile, so thanks heaps.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really great, guys. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, it's excellent. And Yay!
Yeah.
So what's next, Gary?
Okay, well, we have a blog recap. So what was the most popular blogs last month? And the biggest one was Merry Christmas Bees, our episode 38 of our podcast. So thanks everyone that downloaded that. And the second one was Tyson Kaiser is an ethical bee remover. And that was a talk we had with Tyson Kaiser from Los Angeles. And we were taken back with the response to that one, weren't we? It was a lot of people downloaded it. Yeah.
Phenomenal. And I think that he had a lot of really, cool things that he was able to do, and I just love the way that he was so focused on getting those bees out and doing it in such a way that was beneficial to the homeowner and to the bees. So well done, Tyson. Yeah,
that's great. And the third popular thing was what's happening in Karen's garden. What's that about?
That was Karen's blog about her garden and her grandson, who's very much a part of the things that go on in the garden, and that was well responded to. And we're waiting for some new updates, so we'll keep you posted on that one, guys. And there's another point that you've made here, and it's that we've got 53% of our audience or listeners are from the United States of America.
Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? So, hello everyone in America.
Hello, and thanks for listening to us out here in down under in Kiwi land, and awesome.
We're rapt that you've discovered us, and thanks a lot. And tell everyone you know about us.
Yeah, and
awesome.
we've just enjoyed a lot of the podcasts and interviews that we've had with those in America and Canada, and just really learning about different things that are going on for you guys is actually really helpful to us. So thanks for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, should we move on to the news?
I just want to I just want to make a mention that a lot of our Kiwi listeners, they don't give us a lot of feedback, but today we found out that our customers, who are also listeners, actually really love our podcast, but they're a bit shy, I think, to say anything. So don't be shy, guys. Get in touch. Let us know, what you think, and if there's anything we can do better, that'd be awesome, because the Kiwi side of things is very important to us, and we want to know that we're meeting that market as well.
Yeah.
So thanks.
We've had a few customers, haven't we, come over and say, because wasn't that the other day? And
we've had a few now, eh?
Yeah, and he was going to drive all the way to Napier listening to our podcast.
That's right, and we really appreciate that. That was Simon, and and today Chris was talking about the podcast and how he enjoys that, and so let us know.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear from you guys.
Yeah, so awesome.
Okay, well, let's move into the news.
Okay, reporting from Kiwimana HQ is Gary. Please go ahead, Gary.
I love that jingle.
Is that your news?
No, that's not the news. That's just a jingle. Anyway, we have an article here about guerrilla beekeeping in LA. And this is about an article about misconceptions of many residents of Los Angeles who are afraid of bees and the fight to make urban beekeeping in LA legal in the future.
Yeah, you're a bit behind the times, aren't you, LA local council, or however it's run by there?
I think they are. They are a bit behind the times, and this was touched on the interview with Tyson Kaiser as well, because him being from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He talked about the battle they're currently having to make urban beekeeping legal.
Well, I think it's a really sad state of affairs that they have to fight to get this going. I think that when you listen to the interview, that there was a gentleman on there who made some comments which I think are quite incorrect. And have a listen to it, guys, and see what you think, because...
Let's listen and we'll come back and talk to you in a second.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Okay, here it comes, guys.
Honeybees have had a hard time of it in recent years, but bees are thriving in urban areas where beekeeping is allowed, places like San Francisco and San Jose. LA could be next if a coalition of amateur beekeepers has anything to say about it. From the California Report, Colin Berry has the story.
Deep in a sunny Silver Lake backyard, 50,000 western honeybees are adjusting to a brand new hive.
Do we have a smoker?
Yesterday, these bees were living under the eaves of a house in Whittier, 20 miles away. They're here today because Walker Rollins and Kirk Anderson removed them humanely. Now they're settling in, getting oriented to their new surroundings.
That observation hive is about 8 months old, and there was just a little cluster like this big when I got it, and you can see now.
Anderson and Rollins are part of a club called Backwards Beekeepers, whose members relocate bee colonies in LA several times a week. Yet in doing so, they're breaking the law because beekeeping in LA is illegal, and the city's most common tactic in dealing with feral bees is to exterminate them. Kirk Anderson.
Most of the people that have a bad opinion about feral bees have got maybe 30 seconds worth of experience working with them. You know, because bees are like people. Everybody has a bad day. You know, if a beehive has a bad day, the fire department or people want to have them destroy him. If a person has a bad day, they put him on Oprah.
But many folks are scared of bees and might be uneasy with the thought of 50,000 of them living next door. Yet finding an LA city official who will speak on the subject isn't easy. After more than a dozen calls, I reached Ron Lorenzen, an urban forestry manager for the city. Lorenzen says that while he wouldn't oppose a law that allows beekeeping in residential areas, his agency's rationale for eradicating bees in public spaces is based on evidence of a dangerous new hybrid.
Well, I'm not a bee professional, but I think most of the hives, I actually spoke to a pest control advisor earlier today, and that 80% of the hives now they're finding are actually Africanized colonies now. They're not the European bees. And evidently what's happened is that the bees really are becoming a more homogeneous species now.
Kirk Anderson, who's raised bees for 45 years, thinks this is nonsense. Bees aren't pests, he says, and relying on pest experts to determine the city's bee policy is ludicrous.
All bees are defensive. There's always been mean bees. And they can be mean for different reasons. So understanding them, you can do things so you don't trigger their meanness or their defensive actions.
Across the city, Rob and Chelsea McFarland run a nonprofit called Honey Love. After piloting feasibility studies and launching petitions, the McFarlands have begun lobbying the city's 95 neighborhood councils to make beekeeping legal in L.A.
We go up against all these, right after the ordinances that are much heavier topics, gangs and drugs and all of this, and we come up and we're like, yay, bees! And they're just like, you guys are the most delightful ordinance we've ever had to vote on.
These beekeepers believe that cities, with their diverse vegetation and lack of agricultural pesticides, are the bees' best bet for countering colony collapse, and that legalizing bees in L.A. would be a big win for everybody. Honey Love's Rob McFarland.
Our belief is that by encouraging people to keep bees in the city, we're creating a population of bees that are protected from the things that are affecting bees on a sort of commercial level.
The McFarlands also have the ear of Councilmember Mike Bonin from the city's 11th district. Bonin's proposal, allowing beekeeping in single-family residential neighborhoods, is moving through the Planning Commission and could be up for a council vote in as few as 5 months.
It's a sensible and reasonable measure. Currently we allow single-family homes to do truck gardening, which is, growing of berries, flowers, fruits, herbs, mushrooms, and nuts for private use or for sale at farmers markets. And this would essentially afford the same opportunity for beekeeping.
Back in Silver Lake, Russell Bates, who founded Backwards Beekeepers with his wife, Amy Seidenworm, says interest in bees is strongest where people are passionate about local agriculture and sustainability.
And that's happening in California in cities large and small, cities like Arcata and cities like Berkeley and San Francisco and Oakland. So it's bubbling up wherever people are curious about how to be a little bit more in tune with nature.
Officials estimate there are 10 colonies of feral bees in every square mile of L.A. With support for the new law starting to swarm, the state's biggest city could be bee-friendly by this time next year. I'm Colin Berry in Los Angeles.
Wow. That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the guy that guy Colin, did a really good job on that expose, as it were. And I think one of the things that we did when we were having issues with the Auckland Council is that we did the same. We created a submission form based in the manner of the actual local council and sent that through the internet and to all our listeners, and we had a huge response to that compared to a lot of the other groups that were dealing with it. So we were very pleased about that, but the best thing I don't know how it's set up in LA, but they have local bodies in New Zealand in this Auckland Super City Council. And one of the other ways is to lobby all those local bodies and get those on board as well. And then you can take that to the main central governance. So that would be my idea. The part that I didn't like about that is the comments made from that guy who said that the bees are becoming Africanized. I think that he needs to go back and have a look at what he's saying and find the research to back that up, because I think that may not be true.
Well, apparently he's got that information from a pest controller.
Well, the objective, I think, from the pest controller's point of view is to make bees seem as bad as possible, so he keeps working. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, I mean, because the interview with Tyson last couple of weeks ago, he actually said he hasn't come across any Africanized bees, and that's what he does for his living. So it just seems insane to me that they're saying 85% of the bees in LA are Africanized.
Yeah, and I think that the gentleman who made that comment needs to go back and have a look and prove it. Because if he's working for local government and he's saying such, inflammatory statements, then he needs to prove it. Just by talking to a pest control officer, that is not proper research, and that needs to be properly established, because I think they'll find that there wouldn't be any merit to that comment.
Well, he did make one good point. He said he's not a bee expert, so I think. And
I agree with him.
So I think he needs to educate himself and maybe go and talk to the people from Honeybee Love, and people talk to those guys. Talk even to Tyson.
Even just hobbyist beekeepers. That's right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other thing I was thinking that a lot of councils, and this is why we lobbied our own Auckland Council, always put bees into a pest category, and they do that because they don't have any resources within council to deal with bees, because they have biodiversity people, but they aren't specifically beekeepers, and they don't really understand bees, to my knowledge anyway. That's my understanding. So I think a lot of local councils or local governments need to have a look at getting a sector that deals with beekeeping, and that would be really awesome. Our Auckland Council is currently looking at getting a bee policy in, which is separate from a pest control perspective.
Yeah, sounds good.
And interestingly, a pest control guy can get up to $180 for a call out.
I know. It's
and
good money, isn't it?
That's substantial, but they will ask a beekeeper to come and collect a swarm, and they don't pay anything. So where's the value?
Exactly.
And plus we're saving bees.
Yeah, you got to save the bees. So good luck, you guys in LA. I hope it all works out for you.
Yeah, I think you're doing an awesome fight and, just embrace where you want to go. That's my view. And,
absolutely.
Power to the bees.
And we'll have to get some of you guys on the podcast because, especially that Kurt guy. I love his comment about Oprah show.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. Maybe we'll get some bees on there as well because you really have to have a balanced perspective.
Have you seen that YouTube video of Oprah giving bees to everybody?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, you must. I'll put that in the show notes.
Oh, that'll be good.
It's hilarious. It's it's funny. Anyway,
okay, moving along. We're
moving along.
Yes.
Top bar hives and comb honey. This is from the Honey Bee Suite blog, and Rusty answers a question about is top bar beekeeping better for comb honey, and are top bar beehives good for beginners? So I've got a theory.
I've got a theory, and it's based on absolute, literal, and practical. Strategies.
Well, I actually made some comb honey today from some full-size frames that we got from our other apiary. So
they're looking good.
Yeah, it looks good, comb honey. We've never done it before, so
no,
it was an
time.
experiment. So we'll probably have a blog post about that soon. I don't know how a top bar would be better for comb honey. I suppose because it's got no wire in it, but you don't need to put wire in a Langstroth frame. Anyway.
Maybe it's a lot softer or something. I don't know. Because working my top bar, the comb is really soft. I've heard that over time it gets a bit harder, but if you're cutting the comb off and using it for comb honey, then I can only imagine that the new comb they make is going to be soft. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe. And do you think, from your experience, Margaret, that top bars are better for beginners, or do you think a beginner should stick with a Langstroth style hive?
To be honest, we've only had our top bar 2 months, I think. Is it 2 months or 3 months? Something like that.
Still getting used to it, aren't we?
So it's very early days for me, but to be honest, when I manage a Langstroth hive with the frames and everything, I feel more confident because the frames hold everything together. I can look in the cells, I can maneuver them without fear of loss. But with the top bar hive, I find that the comb just drops off, and I think it's, very difficult for the bees to regain that, especially over the season. And the top bar hive was a swarm, so you'd expect it to be quite prolific. But it's actually not very prolific at all. It's got lots going on, but I think losing the comb when it fell off, I left it for them and they cleaned it all up. But I think that it creates a lot more work for them. So I'm, my thoughts are that the jury's out on it.
Yeah, we'll have to do some blog posting about that, our experiences. That article is quite good, so check it out. And Rusty has a similar opinion about it as we do. So
I personally don't think, because you did ask me what I think about beginner beekeepers. I personally think that they should have a hive system which is easily to manage, that you're not dropping the comb, because it's very hard to inspect and check your cells for disease, especially here in New Zealand. I think it's really important. I put in a frame that on the bars in the top bar hive.
Yeah.
And that seems to be doing well, so I'm going to make some more of them.
Cool. Okay, well, let's have a little musical interlude, and we'll be back with the news. Okay, now
awesome.
The next story. Accused of harming bee, Bayer researchers a different culprit. Now, this is a story about the Bayer company. They are actually setting up some bee research labs, and they're claiming that varroa mites are the cause of the bee deaths, not neonicotinoids. Yeah, and this sounds like to us a response to the opposition of neonicotinoids in Europe. Or are we just being cynical, Margaret? Come on, let's see. Maybe Bayer are trying to do a good thing here. What do you think?
Okay. Well,
I'm playing the devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. Well, I think that I am cynical because their behaviour, they say past behaviour is a good indicator of future behaviour. And the fact that they've created synthetic products to treat varroa for the bees, knowingly that product will create resistance, means to me that they've created that varroa to be a super varroa, which therefore I think does make sense that it would be more harmful to the bees now than they were 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 10 years ago when varroa first started really, harming or being, turning up in all the hives. So the fact that they have a bee care centre that's dealing with it now is they've created that problem. And I've said that in the past, that they've created the problem by creating resistance in the varroa, and they full well knew, the same with herbicides and pesticides that they use, that when they use synthetic treatments, that the natural insect or the target does modify itself to protect itself and become stronger. It's the same with weeds. They do exactly the same, and then they're harder and harder to get rid of. So
yeah, well, that's the old super weeds, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that Bayer has contributed to that super weed and that super varroa. So now they're saying, "Oh, we're going to save you, and we're going to get rid of the varroa, and the varroa is the cause of all the problems." And I totally and absolutely disagree with that completely. My view is that organic treatments are the only way to go.
Absolutely. Well, the ban on neonicotinoids has started in Europe on the 1st of December. So let's see what happens, eh?
But that's Western Europe. Didn't they have it banned in France? That was quite some years ago.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's a European Union. I think it was blocked in certain parts of the European Union, but this is a total ban, I understand.
Okay. Yeah, because I understood that France, they banned them.
Yeah, I think they banned them on certain crops and certain kinds of neonicotinoids, so it's like a limited ban. But let's, we'll find out, and we'll do some investigations in a couple of years and see if it makes any difference.
I just hope the consumer can see into this bee care centre and understand it's there, for Bayer's own ends and not necessarily for the bees. I'm sorry, if it's a Bayer care centre, they said they've only got 9 hives in it. Why haven't they got 100 hives in it? And they justify some of the research that was presented.
They kept dying. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, 9 hives to me sounds like that's not even gonna, really touch what's going on.
Yeah,
but they talked about in their article about that the research, one of the Bayer, representatives said that the research that's being done is inside a laboratory. Well, I'm sorry, you can't research those kind of things just in a laboratory. You have to do it in the field. So.
Oh no, what he was saying is that he was saying that the studies to prove that neonicotinoids were bad were done in laboratories, and they don't mean anything. But I think that's just crap.
No, that wasn't right, because that's not. They had to test from the actual colonies that had collapsed.
Yeah.
They can't do that in a laboratory. And for them saying that was the only thing that was done, that's not true.
No. Okay, well, yeah, well, time will tell, I guess. And if anybody from Bayer wants to come on the show, then get in touch. Be interesting to talk to you about the Bee Research Centre, won't it?
Yeah, I'd look forward to someone talking to us from Bayer.
Exactly. Well, it'll be interesting to see what their plans are.
Well, I think that the article does have quite a bit of Bayer's representatives speaking on it. So.
Oh yeah, it's a very it's I think it's a good two-sided argument. So have a read of the article, guys, and see what you think, and comment in the show notes. That's kiwimana.co.nz/40. Yeah, we're 40 now. Anyway, and what's the next one is related, isn't it? What's all that coloured stuff on our grass seeds? And this is a great post by Jodie Brunning about why in New Zealand we need to have neonicotinoids on grass seed sold by our old friends Tui Garden Products and Yates. We agree. Why do we need this product in New Zealand at all?
I agree.
Thoughts, Margaret?
Thoughts? Oh, plenty. I'm really disappointed because it's the whole thing about commercials or multinational companies telling us that if we put all this crap basically on top of seeds, it's going to make them better. But I can't see it. I can't see that putting chemicals on food crops is going to be healthy for me. Sorry. I think they're just poisoning me. And
well, they are. And apparently, did you see that other study that was recently released that they're saying that neonicotinoids actually affects early childhood, children?
Well, you think about
it has to, doesn't it?
The last, couple of generations, autism is growing hugely. Is it diet related? Is it what the parents were eating before the children were born, and that's affecting the newborn children? I mean, I haven't done huge research, but when you have a look at how common autism is now, is it because people are labeling it differently? I'm not sure, but to me, the health of children is definitely being affected by chemicals that are in our world today that weren't here 30 years ago.
Well, I mean, even like in the 40s, there wasn't, the supermarkets they have now. Things were different. Most people had their own gardens, didn't they?
Most farmers grew crops, rotated them. They had companion planting. They fed manure to their land, or the crop rotation created the healthy, minerals and everything for the grass to grow and feed the cows that were feeding off that grass. Now they're feeding cows food that's not natural. It's got all sorts of added hormones and whatever else that they're doing, and they're saying it's, they're grain fed, so they're getting a lot of maize. I mean, I don't know how many cows have sat in a field and said, I really want to have a cob of corn.
Yeah, it's true. So this article is quite a good article. It tells you about the if you see grass seed with funny colours on it, it's probably neonicotinoids. So try and avoid those guys, because you don't want the bees trying to eat that stuff, or the clover and stuff in it.
And the other thing is that the consumer will read on the label seeds specially treated to fight pests or something to that nature. So they guarantee that your crop will grow, but I don't know what's going to end up in your soil. And, if you're feeding it to your goat or your horses or your cows or whatever, then you're literally feeding them chemicals straight to your food source.
Well, if your grass has got it in it, and then even 2 years later you make a vegetable garden, there's a certain percentage of that will still be in the soil, won't it?
Absolutely. There's always the residue factor in anything. And even if people say it's only active for 48 hours, it's bollocks, because in that 48 hours, what sort of amount of insects or animals will be feeding on that food?
Neonicotinoids, their half-life is about 2 years. So it's a long time. Yeah, 48 hours maybe for spraying it, but I don't know. Anyway.
Well, that's when I spoke, when we were worried about the spray factor for getting rid of some of the willow trees in the waterways.
Oh, yeah.
I was told by the council person that the residual effect will be gone after 48 hours. So I don't believe that one moment.
No, me neither.
Anyway, what's up? What's happening next, Gary?
Well, what's happening next?
We went to the Auckland Bee Club, didn't we?
We did, and we actually, this is related to the story.
Yes.
And we had a good time at the Auckland Bee Club, and we talked to the bee lady, didn't we?
Yes, that was very interesting.
And we talked about the Bee movie. That was interesting.
And
I was shocked to discover that most of the Bee movie was wrong. Anyway.
We lived by it.
That's how we learned how to do beekeeping, by watching the Bee movie. And if anyone hasn't seen it, it's a cartoon movie with Jerry Seinfeld.
As one of the voices on there. Yeah.
And he plays a bee, and it's all about life inside a hive.
And how important, I think that's the main thrust of the movie, is that how important bees are for pollinating.
Yeah, I think it was a good movie. But anyway, that's not the story.
I enjoyed it, but it's not factual.
We're going off on a tangent.
Well, we're allowed to, because it's our podcast.
That's true. Anyway, this next article is Monarch's Reign is in danger of ending. This is another story from New Zealand. And loss of habitat in extreme weather, chemicals and garden trends are decimating numbers of beautiful monarch butterflies in New Zealand. And we actually talked to Gordon at the Auckland Bee Club, didn't we? And he's had a similar story.
Yeah, he is interested obviously in the monarch butterfly, and is also part of there's a monarch society, and I think that he's part of that. I'm sorry, I can't remember the actual name of it. And he was talking about how he saw people chopping down swan plant without any real understanding of what that meant. And we all know that with monarchs, they will come back to a site where they were either hatched from, or it's been communicated to them by other monarchs that they can go there and lay eggs. So when you cut down their food source and their habitat, then yes, there's going to be real losses. I think that what's happening is that there's no understanding for what it means when you chop down a tree or a regular plant that's been in that garden for a while. Think very carefully about that before you get rid of it, because that means that you are getting rid of that food source. So my advice is that think a bit more about something before you chop it down. I guess that's all we can do, and, maybe if you don't know what something's for, go and do a bit of research so you know what sort of harm you might be doing or how you can, benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just be aware of what you're putting into the soil and what you're doing and stuff like that. But this article is a good article about their loss of habitat, so it's sad, isn't it? Well, hopefully we can do something about that.
Well, join a club, join the society who deals with monarchs, and find out ways that you can get the kids involved, because monarchs are so awesome to watch. We've got a swan plant tree here, and it has been sorely neglected, but even so, it's got new seeds on it. It's got some monarchs at the moment, and hopefully they'll all hatch and be awesome.
Absolutely. Anyway, let's have a bit of a musical interlude, and we'll have a talk about some questions from you guys. Okay, we're back. We've got some questions here, and we'll go through these and just, not all of them, but which ones would you like to answer there, Margaret?
How many times do you treat mites with the oxalic acid vaporizer? Well, we sell the Kiwi oxalic acid vaporizer, and it's a product that we highly recommend. We use it on our hives and have done for quite some time, and we use it in combination with the Epilife VAR treatment. And both those treatments, what we do is our kiwimana method is that we do it to cover a 28-day period. So you do it, say, on a Monday, you put it in, and then you wait 7 days, and then you repeat it 3 more times. So it's 28 days in total, and that's once every 7 days.
Absolutely. And another one, how to build a beehive frame jig. We haven't really, we've got an article about how we use our beehive frame jig. Haven't got one how to build one, eh? Maybe that's a good article for the future.
I think so. I think that, because I do a lot of those in the workshop, and to have a good jig is really helpful to make it a lot easier. And, we've seen lots of different methods, and I think they are helpful.
And we've come up with that wiring jig, haven't we? That we've been playing around with, that we've been experimenting with. It's working alright, eh?
Which one's that, sorry?
The one to wire them up. With a bit of wood for the tensioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going good. And
what about the beehive splits? There's a question there that someone asked about how to make beehive splits with good results. Well, we've got a really awesome hive splitting method on our website, and 100%.
Yeah, it works pretty well. Depending on the weather when the queen gets mated, but other than that, it's all good. And I think this last one here, this is the last one we'll talk about. What type of business is beekeeping in New Zealand? Ooh, what's that? I'd say it's a hard business. What type of business do you think it is?
I think that it is very expensive. Not to put anyone off, but yeah.
It's hard work.
You really need to be committed to what you're doing in terms of beekeeping. As if you've got a couple of hives, it's awesome because you can manage that, you can get your gear and rotate it, and hopefully if you get enough gear, then you can, manage your hives effectively. It's when you don't have enough money to have enough gear, or you just wing it too much. You really have to understand what you're doing. So my view is that it is a challenging and variable business, and when you look at your bees going off to a new beekeeper, you feel very proud. And when you pour that honey into your honey jar from your extraction, that's where the rewards are.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to what's coming up. Wow, that's bluesy.
Yeah, I like that one. That's really cool.
Blogs coming up. Oh, okay. So I'll say the ones I'm going to do, and then you can do the ones you're doing. So I've got one coming up, how to move beehives, and this is going to be very helpful for the organic farm move, isn't it?
Yep.
Because we have to think about moving those guys because the farm was sold, so we have to move them somewhere. So that's going to be useful. And I wrote an article about how has it all become just too much.
Geez, I've had that this year.
I know. Well, that's an article about all the trials and tribulations of having more bees in boxes and having boxes without frames and all the stress of the year being gone by. So it was kind of like an outpouring of emotion there. So I don't know if I'll release that or not.
It might be too heartbreaking.
It might be too heartbreaking for people.
I think the thing is that, beekeeping is such an interesting hobby or business or whatever.
Obsession.
And obsession, definitely obsession. Because I think it's like any animal that you keep, whether it's a horse or a goat or a dairy herd. You have to manage them. You have to make sure that you're providing them with the right environment, those kind of things, the right kind of home or whatever. So I think it may be a problem-solving one once you realise that there are things that you need to look at. So if you're looking at it in a really positive light, I think having these things You know, what was that saying? You said it's only a mistake if you don't learn from it. So,
that's true.
Yeah, and with
true.
beekeeping, you need to be patient.
We have learned a few things this year, haven't we?
You have to be really patient, and you need to be prepared.
And so what blog posts have you coming up? I can see a couple there, but you maybe talk about them.
Well, I did one about grumpy bees. Because we had a few comments and questions about why are my bees grumpy, so I've done an article about that. And also what's blooming in the garden is coming up as well, and that's just to let you know what's happening here in New Zealand, some of the plants that are coming up that most of you will be aware of.
Yeah,
and
clover at the moment.
Yeah, there's white and red.
Okay, well let's move along because it's Saturday night here and we've got a movie to watch.
That's right. We're really been having a few issues with our internet, so we had to be a bit delayed with our recording. So
anyway, let's talk about
chewing into our personal time, if you please.
Oh, it's fine. I love doing this, so that's fine.
Yeah, we're loving it, and it's all good.
Anyway, I've got feedback from you guys. This area, the section of the podcast that we talk about iTunes reviews, and we have just got another iTunes review from Roz Ijama. I'm suspecting that's Roz in England. I may be wrong. 5 stars, and as she said, great podcast from New Zealand. Great advice for helping new beekeepers and interesting interviews with other beekeepers, podcasts and authors, info on techniques, equipment, seasonal beekeeping activities, also gardening and environmental discussions. Oh, that's great. Listen to them all from the beginning. I am.
Well,
that is dedication, Roz.
Yeah, that looks to me like a different Roz.
Okay.
Because this one is not the same surname.
This may be her internet name, but.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is their people's iTunes login name.
Okay, well that's great. So she not only sent us a card,
she did a review as well.
So it's all good.
Guys, if you've got iTunes and you like, please leave us a review. That's kiwimana.co.nz/iTunes. We love to hear your reviews, and we love to hear from you. And drop us an email if you're too scared to do that. But we'd love to hear these iTunes reviews. And our contact details are
info@kiwimana.co.nz.
And our address is kiwimana.co.nz if you're not listening to this on our website. And Margaret, would you love to get an email telling you when we publish new blog posts and podcasts?
I always get one. I'm part of the mail out, so I'm happy to get that. And a lot of we've got quite a few subscribers now, and the feedback's very positive, and I think everyone needs to get our free newsletter.
I think so. It's our weekly wrap up of what we're doing. It tells you about our new blog posts. It also tells you some international beekeeping news and also Kiwi beekeeping news for all you Kiwis out there. So if you're keen to join up on that, it's kiwimana.co.nz/sign up.
Awesome.
And so we haven't got any extra bonus material today, so I think that wraps up the show this week. Margaret, have you got anything else to say to our audience?
Oh, just that it's, we're in summer now. It clicked over on the 1st of December, so you've got a couple more months now to get your honey and do your, monitor your mite levels. And if you need to treat, you need to consider the honey on or off, so that's up to you. We encourage organic treatments only because that will help with killing varroa without creating resistance. And basically enjoy the rest of summer. Today was an awesome day out there and we just loved it.
Oh, it was beautiful. We had some customers coming over, we had cups of tea and
on the deck. It was just fantastic. And then we had a barbecue for dinner and it was just awesome out there, and a gin and tonic. It was just yummy.
And we sold David his very first bee suit. He was very impressed.
Yeah, so, we did get new bee supplies in, so check out our site for any products, and if you can't see it on there, just give us an email. That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, just all the best for the rest of summer in New Zealand, and I hope you guys over in the cold places have got enough, fires and logs to keep you warm.
Absolutely, and we get a lot of comments about people over in up in the northern hemisphere looking at our beautiful photos of the summer, and they're all jealous, I think. But enjoy the coldness there, guys, and the snow and the hail, and just enjoy that.
Oh, that's so shocking, but I agree.
But it's beautiful down here, and we're making the
most of it. And
yeah,
we had a shower. Couple of days, was it a couple of days? Yesterday?
Yeah.
We had quite a bit of heavy wind and rain showers, and that was okay because it filled up our water tank so I could go and do some washing and water the garden. So that was awesome.
Exactly. But it's giving you guys up there a chance to read your beekeeping books. And
listen to Kiwimana podcast.
Well, absolutely. And, just do some study, buy a new beekeeping book, have a look, learn something new, and then
read our interesting blogs.
That's it. And when the season starts, you'll have all that new information. So I just want to say thanks, guys, for listening. I know there's lots of things you could be doing, and I really appreciate you listening to our podcast.
Cheers,
from
guys.
From the bottom of our hearts. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. That's a wrap.
See ya!